You are seeing this transmission because something inside your reality is shifting, even if your rational mind wants to dismiss it as coincidence. This is not random scrolling, and it is not a meaningless algorithm. You were called here, placed in front of these words at this precise intersection of time and space, because your life is already bending toward a transformation you have been preparing for in ways you barely understand. The field of existence is reorganizing itself around you, quietly, invisibly, with the inevitability of sunrise, and the breath of destiny is closer than the very air moving through your lungs. For so long, you have been searching for signs. You have looked to your bank account for proof. You have measured your relationships for validation. You have interrogated your circumstances, hoping for some visible indication that your prayers were heard. But the truth is this: the silence between one heartbeat and the next has never been empty. What you have been calling a void is not absence at all. It is preparation. The delays, the closed doors, the desert stretches of waiting were never punishment. They were orchestration. You have arrived at what quantum physicists call the collapse point, that infinitesimal instant when an infinite spectrum of possibilities converges into one tangible reality. Every visualization you held, every meditation where you chose faith instead of fear, every sleepless night where you whispered belief into the darkness has brought you here. You stand now at the event horizon of your own becoming, right at the shimmering threshold where your deepest longing prepares to dissolve into form. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in superposition, spread across countless possible states until consciousness observes them, collapsing them into a singular outcome. Your dreams have been existing in the same state, already real in the quantum field, suspended in a constellation of possibility, waiting for this precise moment to collapse into your three-dimensional life. That moment is not some far-off horizon. It is already leaning toward you, like dawn pressing against the edge of night. But here is where most people stumble. At the very doorway of the fulfillment, they begin to panic. They tighten their grip. They demand signs. They refresh their email and stare at their phone, desperate for the universe to shout confirmation. Yet this urgency is precisely what disturbs the process. The last step is not control. The last step is surrender. The art of manifestation in its final stages is not about pushing harder, but about releasing completely. It is counterintuitive, yes, but all of nature whispers the same lesson. A seed does not interrogate the soil to see whether it is worthy of becoming a tree. It does not demand evidence. It does not create contingency plans in case the sunlight forgets to arrive. It simply yields to the intelligence that planted it, the same intelligence that choreographs the galaxies and directs the invisible dance of atoms. That is the frequency you are being asked to embody, to yield, not to struggle, to breathe and to trust, not to suffocate with control. The cosmic irony is that what you seek has been seeking you with equal ferocity all along. While you wondered if your prayers were echoing unheard, the universe was tuning every instrument of creation into a symphony, aligning each note so that delivery would arrive in the perfect moment, not one instant early, not one instant late. The timing of your life is not flawed. It is exact. Every delay was precision. Every pause was calibration. Your soul was not being denied. It was being prepared. To release, then, does not mean to abandon your desires. It means to release your stranglehold on how they must appear. When you unclench your fist, when you loosen the death grip on form, the universe is free to deliver something infinitely more extraordinary than your limited imagination could conceive. This is not fantasy. It is the mechanics of quantum entanglement. When two particles become entangled, they remain connected across any distance, instantaneously mirroring each other regardless of separation. Your consciousness has already entangled with your desires. The moment you surrender, those invisible threads vibrate not with wanting, but with receiving. And this difference changes everything. Wanting operates from absence, from the frequency of lack. Wanting insists, I do not have what I desire. Receiving, however, vibrates from wholeness. Receiving knows what belongs to me is already mine, and I allow it to arrive. This shift alters your entire energetic signature. Instead of broadcasting need, you begin to broadcast readiness. And readiness is a frequency that collapses possibility into reality. Pause here. Breathe. Feel this not as concept, but as truth alive in your body. You are not chasing the universe for scraps. You are opening yourself so the universe can finally deliver what has been circling your orbit since the first time you dreamed. Of course, your mind will resist. Even now, as these words penetrate, a chorus of objections may rise. But I've been waiting so long. But my circumstances are different. But nothing ever changes for me. Recognize this voice not as an enemy, but as a guardian at the final gate. Every hero's journey carries such a moment. The test before the treasure, the dragon before the gold. Your doubts are not signs of failure. They are simply thresholds, opportunities for you to step across the line into the next octave of existence. Through every challenge, every disappointment, every silent night, you have been building spiritual muscle. You have been preparing for the weight of your own abundance. That strength is about to yield dividends beyond measure. The universe is not operating on your watch. It is moving by cosmic coordination. What you perceive as a maddening delay has always been intricate choreography. Behind the curtain, resources were gathering, opportunities ripening, people shifting into place like chess pieces aligning for checkmate. Reality itself has been reorganizing its lattice to support your highest good. This is why surrender feels both terrifying and liberating. For you are not merely relinquishing control of outcomes. You are relinquishing the illusion that you ever had control at all. You are stepping into partnership with the intelligence that has been sustaining you every moment of your life without your conscious permission. You did not order your heart to beat today. You did not instruct your lungs to draw air or your cells to regenerate. The same force that moves blood through your veins moves stars through galaxies. That is the power you are aligning with when you let go. There is a practice that turns the key. Instead of visualizing the thing you want, begin to visualize yourself as the one who receives. Not the struggler reaching, not the seeker grasping, but the being for whom manifestation is as natural as breathing. See yourself walking to the world with the quiet confidence of one supported by universal intelligence. Feel yourself moving with the ease of someone who knows the outcome has already been secured. This is not delusion. This is alignment. The subtle yet profound shift of identity that separates the few who manifest effortlessly from the many who remain locked in struggle. Most identify as someone trying to manifest, but you are being invited into the identity of someone who simply receives, because their frequency is already matched. Take another breath. Let these words echo within you. I am ready to receive what is already mine. Not casually, but as decoration. Not as hope, but as knowing. With each syllable, you send a signal into the quantum field. You affirm that you are no longer broadcasting the static of wanting energy, but the clear resonance of receiving. This single shift alters everything. The quantum field responds not to pleading, but to frequency. And readiness is a vibration that cracks open the gate. When you hold this alignment, synchronicities begin cascading. A book tumbles from a shelf precisely when you need its message. A conversation steers you to an opportunity you could never have engineered. A chance encounter bends the trajectory of your entire life. These are not accidents. They are the universe finally delivering without obstruction, now that you have tuned your receiver to the station where your desires are broadcasting. What looked like stillness before was never stagnation. It was gestation, the sacred pause before birth, the quiet breath the universe takes before exhaling miracles into form. Most abandon the path here, mistaking silence for failure, walking away moments before the horizon splits into sunrise. You will not make that mistake. Understand, stillness is not void, but pregnancy. The waiting is not wasted, it is womb. Everything is already reorganizing itself. Your task is not a force, but to maintain frequency. Gratitude becomes your amplifier, not as a trick to attract more, but as reverence for the truth that you already live in a generous universe. Love, joy, appreciation. These vibrate at higher frequencies measurable in hertz, literally tuning your body and mind to the signal where your desires are broadcast. Fear and doubt, by contrast, operate at low frequencies, static that distorts the channel. When you choose gratitude, you rise into clarity. When you choose love, you align your signal with abundance itself. This does not mean you must be endlessly positive. It means you must become conscious of the energy you broadcast and decide, moment to moment, which frequency you are willing to embody. Resistance will still surface. Distractions will appear. Draining relationships may reemerge. Chaos may swirl. This is not conspiracy against you, but the final echo of an old reality trying to tether you back. Do not fight it. Do not feed it. See it as clouds drifting across the sky. Temporary phenomena, dissolving as swiftly as they arose. Your power lies in staying anchored, no matter what weather blows across your horizon. Anchor in your chosen frequency. You begin to notice the subtle but unmistakable difference between forcing action and receiving inspired action. When you're trying to force your desires into existence, you feel the strain in your body, the tension in your shoulders, the tightness in your breath, the exhaustion in your spirit. Forced action always leaves a residue of depletion because it springs from fear. Fear of missing out, fear of lack, fear that the universe is not moving fast enough for your timeline. But inspired action feels entirely different. It rises effortlessly, like a current carrying you downstream. You find yourself in the right place at the right time without scheming. Conversations unfold that open doors you never knew existed. Resources appear just as you need them, almost as if summoned. There is no strain in inspired action, only ease, clarity, and flow. This is how you know you're aligned with the intelligence of the universe. Action feels like being carried, not dragged. When you step into this alignment, synchronicity becomes your natural state. You no longer chase opportunity. Opportunity recognizes you. The difference lies not in doing more, but in allowing more. When you are tuned to receiving, the entire cosmos conspires on your behalf. You become a magnet, not a pursuer. And the magnet never chases what belongs to it. Its very nature draws the aligned into its orbit. This is where the mechanics of manifestation merge seamlessly with the mysteries of quantum physics. Scientists speak of quantum tunneling, where particles pass through barriers that should be impossible to cross by classical rules. Reality itself allows shortcuts that logic cannot explain. In the same way, your consciousness is about to experience its own tunneling effect. One day, you may feel trapped by the same limitations that have always bound you. And then suddenly, as if overnight, those limitations dissolve. They no longer exist. You find yourself on the other side of barriers that once seemed immovable, living in a reality where those restrictions were never part of your story at all. This is why breakthroughs often feel sudden, though in truth they have been building for months, even years. The shift is not gradual progress. It is collapse. You phase shift from one timeline into another, and the limitations that once governed you no longer apply. What feels like a miracle is simply the natural result of coherence finally reaching critical mass. Like water turning to ice, like a caterpillar dissolving into a butterfly. Transformation appears sudden, but is actually the inevitable outcome of energy building to the tipping point. The version of you who already lives in abundance, joy, freedom, and alignment is not a fantasy. That self already exists in the quantum field, parallel to your current experience, equally real and equally available. All versions of you, struggling, thriving, fearful, fearless, exist simultaneously as potential configurations in the infinite field of possibility. You are not laboring to build that version of yourself from scratch. You are simply shifting the attention of your consciousness to the version that already holds what you seek. Manifestation is not creation. It is remembrance. It is not a matter of effort, but a choice. And here is the extraordinary secret. Your future self has been reaching back toward you all along. Every nudge of intuition, every sudden insight, every inexplicable pull to be in a certain place at a certain time has been your expanded self guiding you toward alignment. The synchronicities you have noticed, the chance encounters, the perfect timing, the doors opening unexpectedly, are transmissions from your future self, calling you toward the timeline where the two of you merge into one coherent identity. The stronger your trust, the clearer these transmissions become. The more you obey the whispers of intuition, the more guidance flows. You are not stumbling forward blindly. You are being guided by the gravitational pull of your own destiny. This is what physicists call phase locking, when two oscillating systems synchronize their frequencies until they move as one. Your current frequency is synchronizing with your desired reality. The process is nearing completion, and a phase transition approaches. like a system jumping from one stable state into another. Your life is preparing to reorganize. It may feel like chaos at first, patterns unraveling, old identities dissolving, familiar structures crumbling. But this is not breakdown. This is breakthrough. Complexity always appears chaotic in the instant before it reorganizes into higher order. The storm is not destruction, but preparation for new clarity. The dust must scatter before the pattern can reassemble in more elegant form. When emergence arrives, you will discover gifts within yourself that you never suspected. Abilities you thought belonged to others will awaken within your own body and mind. Opportunities that once seemed impossible will reveal themselves as natural next steps. Relationships aligned with your highest good will materialize effortlessly. Abundance will flow not because you chased it, but because in this new reality, it is simply how energy organizes itself. You will realize that the struggle you endured was not proof of lack, but resistance to what has always been flowing toward you. In the reality you are entering, abundance is not exception. It is a default. To hold this transition, you must learn the discipline of the vacuum. In quantum physics, the vacuum is not emptiness. It is the most fertile field of creation, alive with virtual particles flickering in and out of existence, pregnant with infinite potential. In manifestation, this vacuum appears as stillness, as silence, as a long pause where nothing seems to happen. But beneath the surface, everything is happening. Your desires are gestating, stabilizing from flickers of possibility into probabilities, and from probabilities into inevitabilities. This is why surrender is essential. If you demand evidence too soon, if you constantly check a proof, you collapse the wave prematurely. You create decoherence, forcing your desire to collapse into a lesser outcome. Faith protects your manifestation from premature collapse. Trust holds the coherence until the form is ready. So if you are walking through silence now, if you feel suspended in emptiness, do not mistake it for failure. You are in the womb of reality. The vacuum is alive with your future. Your task is to breathe, to wait, to allow. Do not let impatience interrupt the miracle. What seems invisible today is gathering mass. What seems absent is ripening. One day soon, it will tip across the threshold and stabilize into form. And when it does, it will feel sudden, though in truth it was always happening behind the veil. The practice, then, is simple but profound. Each day, choose to embody the version of you who already lives in that reality. When you wake, do not ask, when will it come? Instead ask, how would I move today if it were already here? Sit like someone who trusts the universe. Walk like someone for whom abundance is natural. Breathe like someone who knows love and joy are constants, not rewards. Each small choice is a vote for the timeline you are collapsing into. Each repetition strengthens the coherence of your new identity. Your nervous system does not know the difference between vividly imagined experience and lived experience. When you embody your expanded self, you are literally training your biology to expect miracles. Neural pathways rewire. Hormones shift. Your entire physiology begins to operate in resonance with your future. But here lies the danger. Many practice this embodiment for a few minutes, then revert to old identities the rest of the day. They sabotage coherence with destructive interference, canceling the signal of their expanded self with the static of their limited self. To master manifestation is to sustain identity coherence throughout the day. This does not mean pretending problems do not exist. It does not mean faking positivity. It means asking in each choice point, what would the version of me living my desired reality do now? Trust the first answer. Act on it. Each act strengthens the entanglement. Each choice accelerates the merger. As this process deepens, you may feel like you're living two lives at once. Part of you still navigates old challenges, while another part tastes the freedom of your expanded reality. Do not be alarmed. This dual perception is proof of alignment. It means your consciousness is simultaneously perceiving multiple frequencies, preparing to collapse into the higher one. Your role is to give attention to the expanded reality more than the limited one. What you water grows. What you star fades. When you give more energy to abundance, freedom, and alignment, those frequencies stabilize as your primary reality. When you withdraw energy from lack and fear, they dissolve back into possibility. no longer dominant in your field. The universe is not asking you to force creation. It is asking you to cooperate with collapse. The music is already playing on the frequency of your desires. You need only tune your receiver. Every meditation, every act of trust, every surrender into gratitude have been fine-tuning your instrument. Now, the station comes in clearer than ever. As you read these words, your brain is rewiring itself. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, but at its heart, it is consciousness reshaping biology to match frequency. Each insight that resonates, each yes you feel in your bones, is not just thought, it is structure. Neural networks realign. Pathways fire in new patterns. Your body literally becomes the architecture of your expanded self. This is why timing is sacred. You could not have received this transmission before today. Your system was not ready. You would have dismissed it, resisted it, overwhelmed yourself. But now you are ripened. Your consciousness has matured to hold this frequency without fracturing. That sense of recognition you feel is not learning. It is remembering. You are not absorbing something new, but recalling something ancient, encoded in your very soul. These truths are etched into your blueprint, whispered into you before you incarnated into matter. That is why they feel familiar, why they move you so deeply. They are not external teachings. They are fragments of your own essence rising to the surface. This remembrance is your power. For what you are reclaiming is not skill, but identity. You are remembering yourself as co-creator, as conscious participant in the dance of universal intelligence. You are remembering the laws your soul has always known, but your mind forgot while adjusting to consensus reality. You are remembering your natural frequency, the one that births worlds. And as you remember, coherence strengthens. The static falls away. The signal grows clear. The music of your dreams, once faint, now swells with undeniable volume. You stand in the threshold of collapse, the shimmering instant before dawn. Your only task is to remain tuned, to resist the temptation of doubt, to surrender fully into receiving frequency. You are not pulling miracles from elsewhere. You are allowing what has always circled your orbit to land. You are not creating abundance. You are remembering that you are abundance itself, embodied. Every breath, every choice, every heartbeat is an invitation to step deeper into alignment. The universe has not forgotten you. It has been conspiring, organizing, loving you into readiness. Your breakthrough is closer than your next inhalation. The air around you is already vibrating differently, though your senses may not yet fully register it. Reality is not static. It is liquid, shimmering, perpetually reconfiguring itself in response to consciousness. Each choice, each thought, each breath alters the currents of the field. You are not drifting helplessly in a predetermined river. You are the current itself, and as your awareness expands, you begin to feel the subtle ways you have been shaping outcomes all along. What once felt like coincidence now reveals itself as entanglement. What once seemed random now glows with meaning. The patterns were always there. You are only now learning to read them. Consider gratitude, for example, not the gratitude used as bait, but the gratitude that arises as recognition of a generous universe. When you shift into this state, something extraordinary happens. Your frequency rises into the range where your desires are already broadcasting. This is not metaphor. It is resonance. Love vibrates at 528 hertz. Joy around 540. Gratitude too. Fear languishes at 100. Doubt trembles at 125. When you dwell in lower frequencies, you jam your own signal, distorting the communication between you and your expanded self. But when you choose higher frequencies, you tune cleanly to the station of your desires. Constructive interference occurs. The waves of your being and the waves of your dream amplify one another, building coherence until collapse becomes inevitable. This is why mindfulness matters. Not because positivity is a moral duty, but because frequency is a mechanical reality. Your emotions are transmitters. Each choice to linger in appreciation or to dwell in fear is not abstract. It is physics. You are sculpting reality through the music you broadcast. Every emotion you sustain is like a note, and the field is the instrument reverberating with it. This is why fear drains you. It is discordant, static, a frequency that cannot sustain coherence with abundance. Love, by contrast, is harmonic. It creates clarity. It sharpens a resonance until your desires snap into place. But resistance is cunning. It knows how to disguise itself. Sometimes it appears as sudden busyness, distracting you from practices that anchor you. Sometimes it masquerades as relationships that subtly sap your energy. Sometimes it comes as circumstances that look like setbacks but are really tests of alignment. Understand this. Resistance is not the enemy. It is the last guardian, ensuring that only those who are truly ready step through. The trick is not to fight resistance, nor to indulge it, but to acknowledge it with neutrality, like clouds drifting across the sky. They pass. They do not define. You remain anchored beneath the shifting weather, unshaken. As you learn this, you begin to see the difference between action born of fear and action born of inspiration. Forced action always tastes of impatience. It carries the bitter edge of trying to prove, to hurry, to control. It burns energy like fire-consuming fuel, leaving you empty. Inspired action, however, is effortless. It bubbles up unforced. It feels light in the body. It does not deplete, it energizes. Inspired action is the difference between swimming upstream until your muscles ache and allowing the current to carry you effortlessly forward. The river does not resist you. It already knows the way. And here lies a secret that transforms everything. Your future is already entangled with you. The version of yourself that has stepped into abundance and fulfillment is not separate. It is sending guidance backward through quantum field. Every time you felt inexplicable certainty, every time you followed intuition without logical reason, every time you knew something before it happened, you were receiving signals from your expanded self. These whispers are not fantasy. They are navigation. The breadcrumbs that lead you along the path you already chose before you were even conscious of it. As this entanglement intensifies, you may feel moments of deja vu, uncanny familiarity. The sense that you've already lived fragments of what is now unfolding. This is not illusion. It is phase locking. Your current frequency is synchronizing with your future frequency, aligning the two versions of yourself until they converge. The phenomenon is called phase transition, when a system jumps from one stable state into another, reorganizing its entire configuration. Think of water, suddenly crystallizing into ice. Think of a star collapsing into a supernova. The shift looks sudden, but it is energy accumulating until the threshold tips and transformation becomes unavoidable. Your consciousness is reaching this threshold. Every meditation, every surrender into gratitude, every act of trust has been building coherence. And soon, emergence will arrive. Emergence is the moment when new properties, new abilities, new realities appear that were not predictable from the components before. You will find yourself speaking words of wisdom you did not know you carried. You will see opportunities in places you once saw only walls. You will watch relationships reorganize into resonance with your higher frequency. You will not be the same, and yet you will realize you have only become more yourself than ever. This is why chaos sometimes precedes breakthrough. Systems always pass through turbulence before reorganizing at a higher level. The old must dissolve for the new to cohere. You may feel pieces of your identity unraveling. You may witness patterns collapse. Let them. Do not cling to the crumbling scaffolding of outdated structures. Chaos is not failure. It is fertility. The soil must be tilled before seeds sprout. Disorder is the womb of order. Your only task is to remain centered in the eye of the storm, knowing that intelligence is at work even when patterns look invisible. Begin each day by asking, which version of me do I choose to animate today? Not the one who reacts evidence, but the one who breathes as if the dream is already real. When you embody this version consistently, your nervous system rewires itself. New neural pathways form, new hormonal balances stabilize. You are literally training your biology to support your expanded identity. The body cannot tell the difference between vividly imagined reality and lived reality. So when you embody your expanded self, you are laying the physical groundwork for the shift. You are becoming coherence in flesh. But many sabotage this process by slipping back into old identities throughout the day. They start a line but then surrender to fear, undoing the signal with static. This creates destructive interference, collapsing coherence. Mastery requires constancy, not perfection, but persistence. Each choice point is a vote for the timeline you collapse into. Ask, what would my expanded self do in this moment? Then trust the answer and act on it. The more you repeat this, the stronger the entanglement becomes. Eventually, the expanded self no longer feels like a distant possibility. It feels like the only reality you know. During this phase, duality sharpens. You may feel split, living two realities at once. One foot in the old, one in the new. This is not madness. It is transition. Consciousness preparing to leap. Your task is to feed the new reality more attention than the old. Whatever you give attention to expands. Attention is the currency of creation. If you water fear, fear grows. If you nourish love, love flourishes. Withdraw from what no longer serves. Redirect gently, consistently, into what you choose. Over time, the old fades into shadow and the new stabilizes into daylight. This is not about pretending problems don't exist. It is about deciding where to anchor your energy. Problems may still knock at your door, but you need not invite them inside. You can greet them, acknowledge them, and let them pass without hosting them at your table. The universe is collapsing your desired reality into form, but it requires your cooperation. You must tune your consciousness to the frequency where that reality already lives. Like a radio dial, it has always been broadcasting. You simply had to align your receiver. And now, alignment is deepening. With every breath you take in awareness, with every moment you surrender, your signal grows clearer. The noise diminishes. The music swells. Even as you read, your brain is reshaping itself. Neuroplasticity is not a metaphor. It is the physical evidence of consciousness altering matter. New neural circuits are firing, encoding the recognition of abundance, the expectation of synchronicity, the acceptance of miracles as normal. You are not learning this. You are remembering. That is why the resonance feels so ancient, so undeniable. Your soul has known this music all along. What overwhelms you now is not new knowledge, but ancient truth resurfacing. It feels powerful because it is yours, returning. Your consciousness is stripping away the amnesia of limitation, reawakening to its original blueprint. You are remembering yourself in the most literal sense, reassembling the fragmented pieces of your infinite being into coherence once more. And as you do, the veil thins. The boundary between who you thought you were and who you truly are dissolves. You see more clearly. You feel more deeply. You trust more fully. Reality bends to match the remembrance. You are not separate from your desires. You never were. The apparent gap between where you are and where you long to be is not distance. It is frequency. And frequency can shift in an instant. The only variable is your willingness. The only question is whether you will surrender into the receiving frequency fully, without clutching back to the illusion of control. Control has always been the obstacle. Control is the static. Release it, and you will hear the music that has been playing all along. The intelligence orchestrating your life is the same intelligence that keeps stars burning and oceans rising and falling. Do you trust that intelligence enough to release your grip? Do you trust it enough to breathe into the vacuum, to allow the invisible to stabilize into the visible without demanding evidence first? That is the final test. To surrender not because you approve, but because you recognize the deeper truth. Proof is the echo, never the source. By the time you see evidence, the frequency has already collapsed. The real work is choosing coherence when no evidence is yet visible. That is the power that accelerates manifestation. That is the gateway into the miraculous. So when silence comes, welcome it. When stillness arrives, rest in it. When resistance surfaces, bow to it and let it pass. You are being tuned, refined, prepared. The collapse is already underway. The breakthrough is already ripening. You need not force anything. All that is required is to continue breathing as a version of you who naturally receives. Every breath declares your choice. Every heartbeat affirms your alignment. Every moment is collapse in motion. You are entering the threshold where coherence becomes destiny, where all the threads of possibility woven through your life converge into a single radiant tapestry. This convergence feels like inevitability because it is inevitability. You've been tuning your frequency, surrendering your grip, and aligning with the intelligence that animates galaxies. Now that intelligence is preparing to collapse your expanded reality into form with the same certainty that dawn follows night. The waiting, the silence, the testing, these were never delays. They were synchronization. Every strand of your existence has been aligning into harmony, readying for the core that will resound through every corner of your life. And yet, there is still the temptation to grasp, to check for signs, to demand evidence that the unseen is in motion. But here is a paradox. Looking for proof interrupts the process. In physics, this is decoherence, the collapse of quantum superposition into limited states because of external noise in your life. Decoherence happens every time you measure your progress against circumstances, every time you check your bank account for abundance, every time you scan your environment for proof of love, every time you interrogate your conditions for signs of change. You collapse your potential prematurely into narrowness of what already exists. You prevent the fuller outcome from stabilizing. This is why the final phase feels like the dark night of the soul. It demands trust without feedback, coherence without validation. It asks you to believe when there is nothing yet to see. This is not punishment. It is protection. It safeguards your manifestation from collapsing into lesser form. The vacuum you feel is not emptiness. It is potential. Physicists tell us the quantum vacuum is the richest field imaginable, boiling with virtual particles appearing and disappearing. Too brief to observe, but powerful enough to shape everything that is. Likewise, your desires are flickering in and out of subtle existence, not yet visible to the eye, but already influencing your reality. Every synchronicity you notice, every intuitive nudge, every moment of unexpected clarity is the effect of these virtual manifestations. They are signs that the field is alive with your future, that your dreams are already trembling at the edge of visibility. Soon, they will stabilize. What appears sudden will in fact be the final solidification of something that has been gestating for months, maybe years. Understand this. Manifestation is not a process of creation from nothing. It is stabilization of what has always been. You are not pulling abundance from thin air. You are allowing what already exists in the field to crystallize into matter. You are not conjuring love. You are tuning yourself to the frequency where love already flows in endless supply. You are not building freedom. You are remembering that freedom is your original state and choosing it until reality has no option but to mirror it. This is why discipline matters. Each morning, as consciousness returns from sleep, you stand at a choice point. The slate is unwritten. Which version of you will you animate? The one who doubts, who waits, who fears, or the one who breathes as though the dream is already here? This choice does not need drama. It is subtle, quiet, simple. A shift in posture, a breath of trust, a decision to walk differently, to carry yourself like one who is supported. And with each repetition, the neural pathways deepen. Your nervous system learns. Your biology adapts. You begin to embody your expanded identity so consistently that it becomes the only self you recognize. The key is constancy, not perfection, not forced positivity, but steady coherence. Old patterns will still attempt to reassert themselves. Doubts will whisper. Circumstances may test. But each time you return to alignment, you strengthen the field. Each time you choose a response your expanded self would choose, you vote for the timeline you desire. Each choice is collapse in motion. Each act is entanglement tightening. Each surrender is the wave function, resolving into form. And the more you practice, the more you notice the duality thinning. At first, it feels as though you live in two worlds, the limited reality of old patterns and the luminous reality of your expanded self. But over time, one grows stronger, one fades. You give more attention to abundance than to lack, more energy to trust than to fear, more devotion to receiving than to wanting. Attention is nourishment, and what you feed flourishes. Soon, the expanded reality ceases to feel like future. It feels like home. The old reality dissolves, not because you fought it, but because you stopped sustaining it with attention. The collective field is shifting with you. Every person who steps into receiving energy strengthens the morphic resonance for all. Your breakthrough is not yours alone. It ripples outward, making it easier for others to step through their own gates. Consciousness is contagious. When you embody coherence, you broadcast it. You become a lighthouse, and your frequency guides others through their own darkness. This is the deeper purpose of your manifestation. Not just personal fulfillment, but contribution to awakening itself. You are participating in humanity's evolution, learning to co-create consciously with the intelligence that governs the cosmos. Your joy becomes service. Your abundance becomes example. Your freedom becomes invitation. And as you move deeper into this alignment, you begin to see how profoundly the universe has always loved you. What you once interpreted as rejection, you now recognize as protection. What you thought were detours, you now see as precision. The timing you resented, you now honor as perfection. The delays were never punishment. They were incubation. You were not being ignored. You were being prepared. Nothing has been wasted. Every challenge was muscle building. Every silence was gestation. Every moment of faith sharpened your frequency. And now all of it converges. Now, all of it collapses into the inevitability of your expanded reality. There is a final remembering. The version of you living your dream life is not separate, not distant, not fantasy. It is already here, already entangled, already sending signals. Every intuitive spark, every synchronicity, every surge of recognition is your future self whispering across the quantum field. I am you, waiting. Collapse into me. Step into me. Remember me. The separation was never real. It was always illusion. And when you surrender fully, you dissolve the illusion. You phase shift. You quantum tunnel into the timeline where your expanded self is the only self you know. It may feel sudden. One day the pattern still binds. The next day it is gone. One day the limitation still defines you. The next day it no longer exists. This is the nature of tunneling. You do not break the barrier. You bypass it. You slip through into the reality where it was never present at all. And in that moment, you realize you have not become someone new. You have remembered who you were all along. The abundance, the love, the freedom, they were never withheld. They were waiting for you to tune, waiting for you to surrender, waiting for you to choose coherence. And now you have. So breathe. Breathe as the one who has already arrived. Walk as the one for whom miracles are normal. Live as the one who remembers that receiving is the most natural thing in the world. Do not strain. Do not force. Do not clutch. Simply allow. The universe has been conspiring all along, moving every piece into place, holding every desire in orbit until you were ready to claim it. That readiness is here. That collapse is now. Nothing stands between you and your dream but the illusion of separation. And separation dissolves the moment you surrender into receiving. From this place, manifestation is no longer effort. It is inevitability. Synchronicities become your daily companions. Miracles arrive not as exceptions, but as constants. Life feels less like struggle and more like dance. You begin to realize that the universe was never testing you. It was teaching you. Every delay was a lesson in trust. Every silence was a rehearsal in coherence. Every resistance was a final guardian sharpening your strength. And you, through it all, have become the kind of being who can hold abundance without fear, who can steward freedom without collapse, who can embody love without condition. That is why your desires can arrive now, because you have become the self who can receive them. This is your declaration. The gap is gone. The distance was frequency, and frequency has shifted. You are not waiting for abundance. It is already stabilized. You are not hoping for love. It is already flowing. You are not chasing freedom. You are breathing it now. The expanded reality is not future. It is present. It is here. It is you. And as you walk forward from this moment, every breath, every step, every heartbeat is collapse emotion, coherence stabilizing, abundance crystallizing. You are the miracle. You are the manifestation. You are the collapse point where infinity resolves into form. And you are ready. So allow the universe to deliver what it has been preparing for you since the first time you dreamed. Allow the synchronicities to align, the resources to gather, the relationships to materialize. Allow the abundance to flow, the love to pour, the freedom to expand. Allow yourself to become who you have always been. Surrender into the frequency of receiving, and watch as the field collapses into the most extraordinary version of your life. For your breakthrough is not near. It is here. It is you. It has always been you. And now, finally, you remember,